Good evening and welcome to the 143 broadcast of critical thinking, upgrading your senses with my close friend, a schoolmate, and a curious mind, Ashwyn Fonseca. So what are we? This is the second time around that we're doing today's session, but we are going a little bit deeper, as the title goes, with different topics that Ash will touch upon, different points, and we will see how and where and how interesting this can get. So just to give you a little background, by the way, I am Yoran and I am the one that ran alive. So you ran alive and I'm coming to you live from Bucharest. It's 6 p.m. in Romania. It's past 8:30 p.m. in India. And with me, Ashwyn Fonseca, who is a fun rationalist with a love for learning. Ashwyn is fascinated by the world around and within him. His interests are extremely varied, from music to Formula One to neuroscience and aviation. He graduated in physics and currently works at Accenture as project manager in analytics team. Ashwyn, welcome to the show once again. How are you doing?
Thank you, Yaran. It's a pleasure to be here. Second time around, so a little less nervous this time. But yeah, it's a great pleasure, privilege. Thanks for having me on. And
with all my heart.
I think it's always fun, talking to you.
The same here, buddy. The same here. So, Ashwin, would you like to give us a kind of a feedback or not feedback, or like kind of a recap of what we did in the first session, where we widely or generally just touched or hoovered about critical thinking?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first session, that we did, critical thinking, like I mentioned, is such a complex and sometimes vast topic. So it's really difficult to cover everything in one single session, and it involves a multidisciplinary approach. And so this time around, I said, I think everyone knows what they need to learn to get better, but I approached it differently this time. I said, what are maybe a few things that that I can share with your audience that can help them get better at critical thinking, a kind of a flag, if I may, or something to sort of to make you then aware that you may want to spend a little more time thinking about what you just heard, read, or someone told you. So this time around, I'm going to try and give you these kind of easy things that you can load into your mind, and that's the reason why I call it upgrading your senses. I'm going to try and explain it as much as possible, and and hope you guys find it useful.
Okay.
Yeah. So to start off with, going back to the roots of human misjudgment, right? A very intense topic, from that sentence. But as we know, our mind plays an extremely important part here. And my thinking, and what I've read and seen and experienced is that the reason why there's a lot of people misjudge a few things and want to kind of jump to conclusions real easy can be traced back to the mind's need to conserve energy. And what I mean by this is that the human brain consumes the largest share of energy that the body creates. So I think it's estimated to be roughly about 20% of the energy produced by the body is taken up by the brain. So that would mean that you don't want to be wasting that energy and getting into intense thought because that's going to use up and utilize this energy that the body may need for other things as well. So that's why it doesn't come naturally. Critical thinking is not something humans do naturally. Our brain loves to do the gut feel thinking, where it's almost, I want to use the word autopilot here, but just because I can't get a better word at this point in time. But in a way, it wants to make sure that it does that with a sense of ease. So having said that, what that means is that humans are therefore easily hackable, because if I show you things in a certain way, and oh,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
can you guys hear me? Okay, let me try talking a little bit louder. Camelia, is this better?
You're loud and clear, buddy.
Uh,
There is some
okay,
kind of audio disturbance. Maybe it is because the audio is moving on
good.
your neck. I'm not really sure. But otherwise, you're loud and clear, Ashwin. You're loud and clear.
Okay, excellent. All right. So, like I was saying, humans are easily hackable, and what I mean by that is there are really two things that make us who we are, the sort of agents of our creation,
Mm-hmm.
and those are habits and emotions, right? And if a person or something nowadays, a machine, like,
Right.
can really hack these, which are not very difficult to hack, right? I can get you emotionally charged pretty easily. I can get you into habits, start really small, you won't even realize it, and then build you up. So with these things, it can just completely change who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore I think one needs to at times sit back and maybe introspect, and that's the reason why we get hooked onto the latest social media and things like that, right? It knows how to tap into our psyche and use emotions and habits to essentially get us to move in a certain direction.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we upgrade our sensors, right? We don't want anyone and everything really pushing us into directions that we may not necessarily want to go. So yeah, what can we do? So that's what I'm going to like talk about.
Okay. Okay. So we're trying to see about like what would be how we're going to improve on certain things, or look at the negative parts and then try to bring on, like, look at the pitfalls and then try to see how we can work things around that, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do. So I have picked up some of the common pitfalls, or really thinking loops, maybe you want to call it, that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that people fall into and get stuck, and that causes a lot of frustration. And like I said, right, if you keep on thinking the same thing again and again, it's going to just deplete your energy, and then you're just going to give up at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think if we discuss a few of these and you're aware of it, it's going to help you tremendously.
Okay. Okay.
To kind of
Bring it on.
stop. So what I want
Sorry.
what I want you to do, which is sometimes very difficult for you to get me to do, is stop, take a pause,
Take a
for
stop
a few
step.
seconds,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and think about what just happened. Think about the event or what that person's saying,
Mm-hmm.
in a way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay,
So
so let's take a pause right now
yeah,
and just say that I'm with Ashwyn Fonseca from Mumbai, India, a close friend of mine, a very curious mind, and a good friend. So if you have any kind of questions with today's related topic on upgrading your sensors, definitely feel free, come to the live broadcast page, you ran alive, go to the chat window and write your comments down there. And Ashwin and I will try to take up the questions as we proceed through the conversation. Now, it does happen technically at times that we are not able to see all the chat that does come in. So please forgive us for that. But we will make it a point to see that we address each and every question that does come in. Also, remember that when we do finish with the live broadcast, the broadcast will still stay on the page. So you can continue sending in your questions. I will see that Ashwin is redirected to that and gets you a desirable answer. What do you say, Ashwin?
perfect. That's good. And I'll
Okay.
be happy to follow up on those questions, as much as possible. So fire away. Feel free to
Okay.
even like drop me some messages on Messenger. I can get back to you specifically if there are any questions. Easier that way. So
Okay.
let's get into
Let's
it.
get started. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the first one, is about the burden of proof. Now, what the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, somebody comes up to you and really, you know, makes a claim or tells you about something. You must understand that the burden of proof lies with that person, or it lies with the claimant, and it's never the other way around. Never with the other person, or you may want to call it the defendant or yourself. but whoever's making the claim, it's up to them to actually show you proof,
Okay.
and prove something. Uh, you know,
So
a
you
great example
yeah, I was just going to ask
would
for that. Go on.
oh yeah. So you
Okay.
know what?
You learn great with
Yeah.
examples. So good with an
So
example.
where are you right now? Are you in your kitchen, in your
Th-
bedroom, or
this is my kitchen, buddy. Yeah, definitely.
this is your kitchen? Okay,
I'm just kidding. I'm in my bedroom actually.
you're in your bedroom.
Are
Okay,
you
excellent.
alone? Yeah, go
Oh
on.
yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I didn't see your video there. But
That's
anyway,
okay,
so
man.
if
Yeah,
you're in
go
your
on.
bedroom,
Okay.
I'm going to make a claim, and I'm going to tell you, Yoran, there is
Hmm.
a dragon in your kitchen right now. And you better believe me and stuff like that. Uh,
A
Now, if
dragon
I
in
make
my
that
kitchen.
claim, yeah, and you can try and disprove it. So what do you think you'll do? What's the first thing that you probably do? It's close by, so you can just walk there and
Yeah,
take a camera or something like that and show me. Say, hey,
exactly.
there's no dragon,
Or I would
right?
just
There's no
say,
dragon.
like, how can they be a dragon? Dragon are mythical creatures. I don't believe in that. Just to start with, or an
Yeah,
audio
and I would say
argumentation.
it is there.
Hmm.
And when you go to actually take a video or something like that and say, hey, look, no dragon in my kitchen, I'll say that, you know what, it's hiding.
Uh-huh. All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next question? What's the next thing you'll ask me?
How do you know it is hiding? How? What makes you say? I mean, if it's hiding, how do you know
Yeah,
it's hiding in
I'm
the first
telling you,
place?
trust me, it's hiding. So it's there in one of your cabinets.
Oh my God, you're scaring me, man. Is it pretty? Okay, so if
Hey,
you
if that dragon's pretty, send it over here to India.
yeah.
No keeping it in Romania.
Well, what can I say? You know, the Vlad the Dracula was the mythical story was created here in Romania. So probably there's also a dragon. What can I say? Well,
Yeah,
close enough. So yeah,
but
I think the next thing what I would
essentially,
do is I would
you
open the drawer. Sorry. Yeah.
you would do that. You would do that, and I
Hmm.
can go on and on and so Camellia says where, it's in your drawer. It's under the spoon, and then you pick up the spoon, and then you know what I'll tell you. I'll tell you,
Uh-huh.
you know what, it's right there. Don't you see it? And you'll say no, and I'll say, well, hey, it's there. It's microscopic. I'm telling you, it's right there.
Oh my
So
God.
what I'm trying to do here is that I'm making you do all these things.
Hmm.
I'm trying to I'm trying to give you what's maybe a little evidence. I'm being very specific about things,
Okay.
but that's not evidence at all. So you got to stop me there and say, okay, show me all of the evidence together, and you need to prove with me without the shred of a doubt there's a dragon there. What you're telling me right now is not strong enough evidence, and
Hmm.
you know, and that's really what I'm trying to say.
So
And sometimes
coming.
people actually twist that around.
Hmm.
This may be a fun discussion, right? But sometimes it gets very very serious. Where is the dragon hiding? Right? Where
Yeah.
is that dragon hiding?
Hmm.
And I will say, it's there. It's that Yoran doesn't choose to see the dragon. Now,
Okay.
uh, you know,
So now you're
now we start
manipulating what
getting
I. Uh-huh.
a little in the weird space, right? So I'm telling you the dragon's there. So in the end, it can just go on and on and
No,
on.
no, no.
And
Mhm.
another very important thing is that you can never disprove anything. Okay, the rules of logic dictate that there is nothing that you can disprove. Okay,
There is
you
nothing that you
either
can
prove it.
disprove. Hmm.
Yeah, you can't disprove it. You can either prove it or you fail to prove it. Now it may,
So,
this is maybe getting a little technical, but it's in the same way. Let me put that into practice, and I'll tell you, like I stopped there and said that the dragon's microscopic, and you'll say, "Hey, Ashwin, come on," and I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you the dragon's there. I've told you exactly where it is. Prove it to me that it doesn't exist.
hmm.
Okay, now that's shifting that burden of proof onto you, and now
Hmm.
you got to get all crazy trying to find evidence to disprove it. But if you try to disprove it, you can't. What will you say? You'll say, hey, I'll get a microscope and show you it's not there, and then I'll say, well, hey, your microscope is not powerful enough.
Uh-huh.
I was
Uh-huh.
not talking of something that magnifies. So I can go on and on taking you for a ride with
Okay.
something as simple as this. So therefore, remember, you can never disprove anything. You either prove it or you fail to prove it, and that's up to the person making the claim. Okay. So
Isn't
it
is
just
isn't using the
because
word, sorry, Ashwin. Go on.
Yeah.
Isn't the
No.
word disprove just a way of better English? Maybe, I don't know. How would disprove be or not be equal to not able to prove, or is it something
Okay.
else?
So it's like you've heard of some. Let's talk about some mythical creatures like the Yeti, Bigfoot. Um,
The abominable snowman.
Yeah, and I'm telling you it's there, right? And I'll show you all the proof. I'll show you some blurry images and all of that sort.
Okay.
And say, hey, this is proof that's there. Now you're trying to say no, and you want to try and disprove me. You basically can't if you go down that road of thinking, saying that, you know what, Ashwin is wrong. I'm going to disprove him. You will never ever reach the end, and that's what a lot of people do. People say, what else could it be? And you will tell them, well, I don't know, but it's definitely not Bigfoot and Yeti. And they will then tell you that, well, hey, if it's if you don't have anything, then let's take the alternative, which means that it exists if I can't disprove it, but it never works that way.
Okay, I get your point.
Logically, that's what you really got to do. And,
okay, I got it.
And coming to evidence, right? I can show you any kind of evidence, and there's actually a hierarchy of evidence as well. I don't want to get into it right now, but if you
what does that mean?
Go ahead and Google it.
And evidence hierarchy is what I'm supposed to Google.
Yeah, like an evidence hierarchy. You can check that out.
Okay.
It will tell you a little bit about what evidence, which evidence is stronger than the other.
Okay, there's like a pyramid here. Absolute.
Kind of, yeah. It may get a little complex, but it's fairly simple.
Okay.
Like, for example, video footage from a security camera is obviously stronger and holds more weight than eyewitness testimony, right? All things considered equal. Okay, I'm saying from that point of view. So things like that. Anyway,
I see.
Not to get too caught up in that, but another one is. Sorry, Yoran, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. So, if you're saying that, I mean, with this, to prove and to disprove, then let's try to see and move on to another topic. But how would I say, in this crazy world, how can one find sense of balance then, or what does one do with that?
So that's an interesting thing. You mentioned the sense of balance, and I think that's exactly what one should be aiming for when people tell them something that they don't know anything about, and people make any sort of claims. In my experience, reality it seldom manifests itself at the extremes.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that most of the time in life, it's life is not either extremely happy or extremely sad. Or extreme elation, or complete dejection or sadness, or whatever you want to call it. Most of reality actually occurs in the center. And what I mean in the center is balance. So if someone comes up, tries to tell you a story that's really emotionally gut-wrenching, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think we are people who connect to these type of stories. But when we need to actually try to find the reality behind what really happened, it's not good. And that's what we were talking about last time, about not being in a very emotional state when you're trying to sift through the evidence.
Okay.
Because you're already at one extreme. So when someone comes and tells you, oh my God, it's for example, global poverty, it's at the worst. We've got such a high percentage of poor people. It's crazy. These governments are screwing everything up. Everybody is getting us into trouble. It's like a nightmare, or the collapse of humanity. When people think about that, right? That's a little bit to the extreme. You rather want to start at the center, okay? Get yourself centered and say, okay, there are good things, there are bad things. Start with it there, and then look at the evidence that they are providing you for that. So if they're talking maybe about global poverty and how people are getting poorer and poorer. Well, why don't you actually dig to the data and see whether over the past 50, 100 years, has mankind gotten poorer or has mankind gotten richer? And that will probably get you down a path of understanding what the reality is, and not
Okay.
just jumping onto
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sensational claims by people.
Claims. Yeah.
And
So just
I wanna just put in. Go ahead. I'm going to put in a quick link here,
okay,
which is
definitely. So
a
I was
great
just
source to.
hmm,
Yeah. So you got to check out the Gapminder Foundation if you want that answer about, is the world getting worse or is the world improving?
okay.
And that's I think
Yeah.
gonna
So
help
I've
quite a lot.
I've given it a heart so that it stands out as one of the comments where people can go through it. So, but while we were talking about the fact about life is not at extremes, or where exactly we are, and also somehow correlated to the previous topic where we were talking about giving proof about or proving something. So Kami says here, you need a proof for anything. For people, is easy to trust when there is proof. So the question here is, and I think it's a valid point that you are making, and that it's not enough, because you can prove. You had given me some beautiful examples with the data correlation, but they doesn't necessarily need to be the same bloody data, or it doesn't need to really make like with the ice creams and the drowning, if you remember, right?
Oh yeah.
So
So we
so how do people
that
believe that? But people do need to do a little more internal or deep, how do you call that? Research. I think that would be the right word.
spend some more time. Yeah,
Yeah, spend
and
some more time.
as you can see, that's what takes a lot more energy.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I
Oh,
don't prescribe that you do this for every single thing you hear in the world, but when you come up to important decisions, you may be prudent to spend a little more time thinking about it, right? Rather than just treating it with your gut. So
tell me how is tell me sorry just tell me, how is this approach? What you see, believe half, what you hear, don't believe at all,
uh, well,
according to
I
you.
would actually I would recommend to you the saying of Marcus Aurelius, actually, which I believe he said, everything that you hear is an opinion, not fact, and everything that you see is a perspective and not the truth.
Fantastic.
So
That is
your
absolutely
your
beautiful.
your senses can be fooled. You may sometimes fool yourself.
Totally, totally,
You may fool yourself.
totally. So yeah, I'm sorry. I think I butted you in between, as always. So or
Not at all. Not at all.
or I don't
Uh,
know.
well,
So
we were talking about you mentioned a little bit about correlation and causation,
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
how people shouldn't, just because two things and two trends are correlated, uh, you just can't, just based on the correlation, you can't say one is related to the other. There's got to be more proof. You've got to apply more, as they say, common sense, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
uncommon sense these days,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then go about proving it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Amelia says
Yeah.
it depends who is
If
saying it, and if you want to believe it. Yeah, I want to
true.
believe, very important. Uh,
It,
if you want to believe something, there's really not much that one can do. Again, that's the power of the mind.
yeah.
Uh,
It it all depends.
People can show you different perspectives,
Yeah.
and not necessarily that it is true, because just because somebody wins an argument or someone is more eloquent
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make that
That.
particular claim true. It could be completely false. It could be
Mm-hmm.
completely false. So
Basically, he's just very good at arguing, or he knows how to manage the debate, for that matter.
yeah, like a debater,
I
it's a
see.
skill.
Yeah. So that's a skill that someone has to win over an argument, not necessarily, as you pointed out,
Yeah.
makes him correct.
So
So
I
yeah,
can
go on, go on.
I can I can tell you, using that example, moving from that, I can say, you know what, Yaran, ice cream sales is the reason for drowning in the, at least the US. And you say, what are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about? That's absolute nonsense. And I'll say, hey, hang on, I will show you data for that, and I'll show you actual verified data that ice cream sales and drowning, the cases of drowning, are actually correlated. And let me actually again ping a site which is it's really good to
Can you,
talk about this bit here.
but think about what you're even saying right now, which is absolutely so valid in today, because you can just take two kinds of data and make people go crazy, right? You
It's
can make
because
people,
it's correlated, and people see, hey, data, wow, it must be true. So and don't go to look further into it and delve deeper.
right.
So ice cream sales and drowning may be a little out there, but without any joke, look at the data. It's actually true. And if you think about it, you probably understand the reason why they correlate. Remember, for drowning, people need to swim, right? You can't drown if you don't swim,
If
at
you
least
don't
most of the
swim.
time.
Or
Yeah, most of the
you
time.
need to
We're
get
just
into the
talking generally,
water.
okay?
Let's put it that way. You need
You
to get into the
water.
water. If you-
When do
if you-
people go swimming? I don't think they go in the winter. There's not a lot of swimming happening there, but
unless you're doing the
summer.
Wim Hof method, then
Oh yeah!
but if
Wow,
not,
that's
yeah.
a superb, very very interesting. Let me put it that way. The Wim Hof method.
Yeah,
I don't know much about it. I just saw a few. I read a few articles, saw a few videos, and that's about it. But what he claims is really crazy, and but he's demonstrated, and he's had independent organizations and people actually prove that this guy is able to do some really interesting
well,
stuff.
very,
Now, whether it
very.
works the way he says, it's up for grabs.
Well, the thing is, I have not attended some of these sessions, but I know for now until till yesterday, or since yesterday, I know two people who are into the Wim Hof method and are doing these kind of activities. I've not really attended, but maybe probably just like you, I would want one of them to come as guests and
Oh yeah.
see how interesting and how it goes. Maybe what would be more interesting is to go in location and take and do the session with them or with the participants who are participating in the show. So so sorry, we were talking about correlations between ice creams and drowning. So please continue, Ashwin. Sorry, go on.
We were. So, well, I think you don't need to be an Einstein to really figure out that, because people go out for more swims in the summer, and ice cream sells larger in the summer, you're always going to see that correlation. So when ice cream sales will increase, you will see drownings increase as well, because it's just the probability of drownings increase. But just because they're correlated doesn't mean that one causes the other. And this may be just a fun, frivolous example, but let me give you a one where people can actually manipulate you.
Let's hear
There's
it.
another correlation. I don't know if it's in this, or let me also put this link here. This was a very interesting one that spoke about the correlation between eating organic food and autism. It turns out that there is a correlation, and a positive correlation, between eating organic food and autism. Okay.
Wow.
And if I really want to be nefarious about it, I can go ahead, show you the data, and say that, hey, therefore, please stop with this organic nonsense, and you shouldn't be eating organic food. It's going to cause autism. Here's the data, and I will prove all the credentials.
I can't believe this. Okay. There's actually someone who's, wow, yeah, I can really see the most
now,
bizarre correlations. Yeah.
Think about that. People use this type of anytime they see something that supports their argument, they will go ahead and use it. So you must. That's where you've got to delve deeper and say, okay, what are we talking about here? Why? Maybe there are other explanations for the correlation, and you can't jump to the conclusion and say that, okay, stop all this organic food, otherwise you're going to get autism.
Yeah, it's like you can just manipulate, the right word as you put it. You can just manipulate people by just correlating two different sets of data and just get them going wild. So the point here is, how should one not overreact, right? How should one not be getting overreact? Because that's I think that's what gets people into, or gets us into trouble, because it gets people frustrated, angry, supporting certain groups, or supporting the against or the defensive, I don't know how you say, the other side, right? Making people to go extreme. So what about some good ways to reason about a topic or an incident that can possibly pull you in two different directions, to an extreme? Let's put it that way.
I would want to see a few things. I keep these in mind, and I feel very strongly about these, and I think it will probably help to keep you centered. We were talking about being centered, getting a sense of balance, starting with the middle or the average, or what most people do, and then moving either ways based on the data and evidence that is provided. So
Okay.
one is, you should not be discouraged or carried away by how people make you feel. Okay. I can make you feel really good. I can make you feel on top of the world, and then when you least expect it, I can slip something in there, and
Push
you're
me
gonna
off
say,
the
hey,
cliff.
what he's saying is right.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Okay, okay,
so
okay.
and in the same way, someone could be just completely discouraging you, because they could be depressed or frustrated with something in life, and you caught them at a wrong time, and they would just tell you things. So if that's going to shift your balance, then you got to kind of watch out for that. More importantly, and this is what people do a lot, is uh, people tend to, for example, look at something like a role model, someone that you look up to. The whole word of looking up to them, you're putting them on a pedestal. But
Right.
understand, they're human beings. They have flaws. If you treat them like something that is godlike, uh, and then you go about living your life like them, like people do it with Steve Jobs all the time, right? They're like, oh my God, Steve Jobs. You ask them, who's the guy who's changed the technology world in the past 20, 30 years or whatever? Steve Jobs, and that's it. Nobody would talk about Bill Gates, right? Because yeah, he's done some bad things. But then if you're talking about computers and impact, well,
Yeah.
data suggests that he was more impactful than Steve Jobs. But Steve Jobs connects to a very something deep down that Windows and sometimes Bill Gates doesn't. He gets caught for all the wrong reasons, right? So in the same way, don't put them up on a pedestal unnecessarily. So it's great to look up to them. Try to learn the qualities behind it that you really like and admire, rather than saying I want to be like Steve Jobs or I want to be like whoever. What made them special to you, and then
Pick up the
maybe you
good
can go about
qualities.
picking that.
Okay.
And the simple thing is, if that all fails, if it sounds too good to be true to you, like they say, it probably is. And yeah, give it some thought.
Okay. So very frankly, Ashwin, in most of my reasoning years, or all these years that have been in school, or maybe not in school, let's put it, maybe at that time I was too young, probably, but let's say in the last few years, I have quite a bit followed my gut feeling. And if I think something is not right and I feel, okay, I shouldn't be doing this, I don't. Yes, there are times when you don't always listen to it and you go astray. But do you think it's wrong to follow your gut feeling all the time? And if you think this is not correct, this is not correct, or you think you should still go into research and find out, go a little deeper?
So I think one just needs to change how they look at gut feeling. Okay, so it's important. It saves your life. Like we were talking last session, it is actually one of the ways of general thinking and how your mind really makes decisions. So anyone tells you to just put down your gut feeling or suppress it, uh, that's wrong. You don't first of all, you don't suppress any feelings. Okay, I
Okay.
think it's completely wrong. So including if it's your gut feeling or instinct. The problem comes, at least in my view, is that people treat the gut feeling or their instinct like the decision maker, uh, when that's not a decision maker. The gut feeling, that instinct, it's not yourself telling you no. It's, look at it as an advisor. Okay, it's advising you, but you need to make the decision, right? don't
Okay.
don't put that responsibility on your gut or instinct. Don't say, oh, my instinct told me, so I didn't do it. No, if your instinct's telling you that, uh, you want to listen to it, and that's why they say listen to it. Don't let it make the decision for you. So maybe step back and treat it like an advisor rather than the decision maker, because it's you who have to make that decision, not your instinct and not your gut. So if you find that happening, you're not supposed to, definitely don't, completely purge it out. You've got to listen to it. But I think if you try looking at your gut and instinct as an advisor to you, the same way that you would have someone advising you on, maybe money matters or life in general, you have a group of friends who are your confidants and things like that. Same way. Sometimes when you need to make life decisions, right, you may talk to a few friends, your family, your relatives, your
Right.
brother, your sister, whoever, and then you decide. You don't, if you say, and that's probably sometimes people don't want to take the responsibility. They don't say, okay, I'll do it because so and so told me. So they said, yeah, I took that job offer, or I didn't. Whatever. Ask that person out because my gut told me. I mean, you don't just listen to your gut blindly. It's your advisor. Think of the other factors as well and then decide. So you need to make that decision yourself. So try to switch it that way. It's your advisor. So
cool.
You should tell yourself, right? This
Thanks.
is you might be wanting to evaluate this a little further with maybe your critical thinking team. I don't know if that helps. Maybe you've got a gut instinct team, and then there's the critical thinking team.
Okay.
For the so maybe look at it that way.
Okay, I get it.
And think about
yeah. So I'm with Ashwyn Fonseca from Mumbai, India, a curious mind, a good friend. Joining me on today's topic, critical thinking. We've taken episode 2 as upgrading your senses. So if you have any kind of questions or queries, do write into the live broadcast, into the chat, and I will see that Ashwyn, I'll make it a point that Ashwyn takes up the questions and answers you. If not, you can always write in later on once you look at the broadcast later, because the broadcast will stay online. So Ashwyn, these were some very nice points that we discussed. I think they're very informative with the tips and the kind of examples. And I think the links that you sent us were absolutely, for me at least, one of them I found completely hilarious with the fact that they are comparing 2 different datas, and it's like, doesn't make sense. It's like poor countries, people have longer penises. I mean, like, that was absolutely I was like, I'm not kidding. Look through the links that we have posted.
I didn't see that one, so thank you for telling me.
Definitely. So like, okay, it's time to move to a poor country. It helps your libido go up. So yeah, or whatever whatever they wanted to say. But tell us, what do you think would be one of the most important qualities, or what would be the important qualities for a great thinker or a person that wants?
I kind of, before I answer that, I kind of love what Camila just said. I think she put it in the best possible way. Intuition is good. So at least, and she's used the word the least, you should do is pay attention.
Camila, thanks for always being there. Good contribution there.
That is just gold.
But do you think, Ashwyn, there are people that don't follow their intuition? Or let me put it this way. Do you think there are people that don't have intuition? Is it possible that there are people that don't have intuition or gut feeling?
Yeah, I think a lot. That's a fantastic point you spoke about. There are people that way who do not trust their gut at all. Sometimes their intuition screams out, and maybe, I don't know, I'm just giving one reason for it. There are multiple reasons. Maybe in the past they followed their gut, and it took them down a path of pain and torment, and that sometimes can traumatize a person. And in the future, then they never really listen to their gut or their intuition, and they tend to always say that, I want to critically think about it. Now, you can't critically think everything. If I'm asking you, for example, hey, what would you like to eat today? You can't say, oh, let me see what the choices are. First tell me, what are the types of restaurants available in your area? I want to see a histogram of the different cuisines available. I want to see the ratings. Then I will do an analysis. No, you don't do that. This is a simple, simple decision. So go with your gut. What do you like at that point?
Yeah, but I'm trying to understand. But there are people then. Okay, so what do you want to eat today? Okay, so let's see which restaurants are there. I mean, there are people that maybe just don't at that point don't know what they want to eat. So probably they
A
want to
few
just have a
questions are
look.
fine. A few questions, the discussion is always fine, but don't go crazy with it. Like I've seen people who sometimes will look at the rating and say, I'm going to think we should order from restaurant A because the rating is 4.3 stars and restaurant B is 4.1 stars or whatever, or
Okay.
3.9 stars. And I don't know. Sometimes I like to play the fun if it's like within my circle of friends, and I say, hey, well, but restaurant B has like 5,000 reviews, and restaurant A has just 500 reviews. So
right.
there's I think restaurant B is better, and then we get into statistics, but then you need to stop and say, hey, listen, if we continue down that road, both of us are going to be hungry.
Absolutely. So Ashwyn, you spoke
make
about
the decision.
Yeah, you spoke about the fact where people don't listen to their gut feeling or the intuition. I'm asking, are there people without an intuition?
Oh, without an intuition,
or don't get a gut feeling? I mean, I'm just asking. It's just GQ.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I really don't think so, because the mind, the way the brain works, whether you like it or not, there are basic habits. What is a habit in essence is very similar to a gut feeling. It's an autopilot. You automatically do something. You behave in a certain way. So I don't think one cannot have gut feeling. Sometimes the intuition may not as good as they want it to be, and intuition. If you want to improve your intuition, actually, you should, in a particular area, maybe you got to figure that out. You want to do more critical thinking and more practice.
Okay.
The same thing. You increase your capabilities about thinking about a certain topic. You get better. Intuition will automatically take over after some time and tell you it'll make that decision for you. But you can't learn intuition by saying, "Oh, I'm just going to put myself into a situation where after you intuitively think and I'll automatically get it." No, it doesn't happen that way.
I see.
Intuition comes from experiences. So it's like the shopkeeper is going to be very quick at doing something like an addition, subtraction, multiplication a lot better than maybe someone he's not interested in mathematics. I take forever sometimes to calculate that in my mind. I can do small numbers, but larger ones are difficult. So well, hey, I can say it intuitively comes to them because they practice it. It's happening day in and day out.
Right. So coming back to knowing what would be some great qualities for a good thinker, what would you suggest, or what would you say is needed here?
Well, I hope I've understood your question. You're talking about what qualities that would a person need to have for you
any
to
tips?
Know that they are good
No. I mean, for a person, what would you think if the person wants to improve his critical thinking, right? What tips would you give him, or what would be the most important qualities that you feel a great thinker should have?
So I think we basically discussed a lot of these qualities. I think the first, the most important one, according to me, is humility.
Okay.
I think without humility, you can't even get started at being critical thinking and being able to find truth.
I see.
If you are so sort of connected with your style of thinking and your with the dogma that you believe, and you're not willing to have an open mind, and at times when you figure that something is really not going your way, or there's evidence against it, and you can completely disregarding that evidence because of your ego, that completely destroys it. So you just got to have humility. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It's difficult to digest. I think one needs to look at ways of dealing with those things. But I think a person with basic humility and reasonable common sense, I think can be thought to be fantastic in critical thinking.
Okay.
But humility has to be there. You can be a genius. You can know everything. You can have all of the information. As they say, I want to demarcate that from just based from knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not humble, then there's no way that you will upgrade that, right? You will say, hey, this is what I learned, this is what I know, and this is the way that is. So
Right.
I'm not willing to look at another perspective. Think about. I'll give you a good example. Okay, humility. Think about a car mechanic. A car mechanic who specializes in engine overhaul or engine repair, and say they've been doing that for 20, 30 years. And with that kind of practice, you can get extremely arrogant, right? And that naturally will happen. Because the confidence goes to such a level if you're doing something for 20, 30 years. And then all of a sudden, so you've probably seen every single internal combustion engine in every possible car, so you know what it is and you know how to repair it. And someone comes and shows you a car and say, I have a Fiat, or a Lamborghini or whatever your favorite car is, and you'll say, yeah, of course I can easily repair this and take care of the engine. What about one day if somebody shows you a Tesla Model S in front of you, and because of your maybe your ego and your super confidence, let's put it that way, you just look at it from afar like you've done for the other cars and say, yeah, well, I know how to fix this engine. Guess what? You may not necessarily know how to fix that engine if you don't have the expertise on that, because that car doesn't work on, it's completely electric. Right? So it's not an internal combustion engine. So when you open it up, there are just batteries and motors basically. So
right.
You will then have to. So that's what I'm talking about, humility. Always have the basic humility that just because you've seen something happen 100 times before,
right,
the next event is not identical to all the previous ones. It may be similar, but there are nuances which you should actually take into account.
I think it's also the fact that you should, like when you say humility, it also is be ready to learn, be ready to think that you don't know, and what are the questions you can ask, or what are the things you can see in order to dive deeper into that new situation that is brought in front of you. Okay, so that's a very good point.
Imagine asking for help. Why don't you just ask for help?
Okay,
humility,
that's another one.
Forget about learning yourself. Sometimes you may not be able to learn. For example, I see Douglas online here.
Yeah.
If I want to learn about good writing and how to write a book, for example, I can spend another 5 years or 10 years trying to study that on my own. But if I want to learn some of the nuances, maybe just for information, or maybe I need to review something, why not ask for help? And why not ask Dougie for
words of advice,
help out a bit?
Yeah,
maybe he could provide me some perspective on what makes a good writer, what are the skills needed.
Definitely.
So, or you could ask for help again. That comes from humility.
Or you could
spend your lifetime learning.
You could also come back to the broadcast that I had with him on The Authors Speak and just listen to the different sections in the topic that we had on the broadcast.
Exactly.
Or that. Yeah. Be ready to learn. I totally agree. Okay. Is there anything else you would say here?
Well, I'd just say, remember that, you can be fooled by anyone, including yourself. So I think that's probably one of the most important things that I'd like to mention.
Yeah, I totally liked the saying that you said. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This really captured the essence of the show or the broadcast for today. So that was very well said.
There's, if I may, there's this may be a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to share one of my favorite magicians is this guy called Penn Jillette. And I think most people know him from the famous Penn and Teller show. And I think they're doing great with the current series about it as well, about Penn and Teller Fool Us, right? So they are fantastic magicians. And Penn Jillette, in I think it was I don't know whether I read about it or was it in a video. I can't remember specifically, but
Okay.
he said something to the extent that when facts should not be, don't bother. If there's a fact and it's proven, don't bother about feeling it and saying that, oh, I feel that this fact is incorrect. Okay. You should, you think about the facts, and he culminates this idea of of this difference between thinking and feeling, and he says that facts should not be thought about. Like facts should not be felt, right? You should be thinking about it. So don't say that, let me feel the speed of light, for example, or let me feel the or let me feel gravity.
Okay.
I feel gravity is like how Phoebe said, right? It's more pushing me down rather than pulling me down, or something like that, to that extent. But he said, and you don't think about human emotions like love, gratitude, and thankfulness, and think about it. If someone would actually say, let me think about whether I love you or not, I will go and analyze all of it back home. I'll do a correlation analysis, and then I'll decide whether I love you or not. No, don't do that. So, don't feel the speed of light and measure love. Right? You should be, think about the speed of light and feel the emotion, feel love, feel gratitude, feel even anger, feel sadness. So don't mix those two up. And I think if you can find a way to do that, I think much happiness would come your way.
Fantastic, Ashwyn. So, guys, I was with Ashwyn Fonseca today on the 143 broadcast on critical thinking. We went a little deeper with the topic of upgrading your sensors. We will say goodbye in a couple of minutes, but do remember that the broadcast is still going to be on the page, on your RAN Alive page on Facebook. So feel free, if you'll have any questions, any queries to write in, come in, write it in, share it in with us. And I will see that Ashwyn gets them and sees that he responds to them as well. So Ashwyn, I don't know, any closing notes, any last words?
Well, I hope this was useful for people. And there was some takeaway there.
Definitely.
If you have any further questions, feel free to just drop me a message, and I'll kind of get back to you immediately. And also, it'd be great, to know if there's anything else that you guys are interested in and you want to.
Definitely, yeah, exactly. So if there are any other topics that you want to hear Ashwyn and me talk about, is something that tickles your senses, let us know. If not, Ashwyn and me will decide on another topic and we'll come back tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. We'll come back on another broadcast, hopefully pretty soon. I was anticipating to be on broadcast with Ashwyn a little quicker than that, but obviously we are working employed people, so we have to see and give time and see how things work out. But Ashwyn, thank you so much for today. I think it was a great show, great dynamics. And I'm hoping that we'll take up a different topic maybe next time, and get talking just like we do with the evening chai.
Absolutely. Once again, thanks everyone that attended, and thanks, Yaran. It was a pleasure.
No problem, man. And we'll see you soon. Till then, have a great evening. Erev tov, buonasera, and I'll catch you all very soon. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ashwyn.